Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of the Extra Time U.S. Men's National Team Soccer Podcast. My name is Tim Greenberg. I'm joined alongside my brother Ryan, and we're getting into it now. We've had a ton of episodes now, a ton of podcasts. We appreciate everybody who has stayed with us and tuned in, episode out. We are through both of our friendlies now. We had our 3-0 win against Morocco that we talked about. You can check out that video up here. I'll put a card in. And today we're going to talk about a significantly more important match. 13th ranked Uruguay. We played host to them in Texas the other day. Kind of getting ready for this. What's up?
Kansas City.
Oh, sorry, Kansas City. I don't know why I thought it was Texas. I think Texas is tomorrow.
Next game.
Texas is tomorrow.
Yes.
So played host to them in Kansas City. Played to a 0-0 draw, right? So we're 15th ranked, they're 13th ranked, pretty evenly matched teams. Obviously, South America a little bit stronger in there than the CONCACAF division. 0-0 draw. How'd you feel?
I mean, there were moments of brilliance and there was moments of nervous. We had some good opportunities to score. Jesus Ferreira, I know, doesn't score. Obviously, no one scores. But he's got his moments again, which I like. Everyone seems to be criticizing him that he's got to find a way to score. And I get that. You want your strikers to score. But we're going from having strikers that didn't have any chances to he's generating chances, which is a step in the right direction.
We generated a lot of chances as an offensive whole. And so since you sort of brought up Jesus Ferreira, is having the number 9 conversation even worth it? Right? We hear this day in, day out, game in, game out. You know, at some point, some commentator, some analyst, some news article, some site, some content creator eventually gets down to, yes, all of this stuff happened, but we're still missing this piece, right? The United States, undefeated on home soil for however many
25 games.
Right, 25 games now.
Can set the record tomorrow if they don't lose.
Right. We qualified for a World Cup. We have the best team that we've had ever, period. Do we need a number 9?
I mean, do we need one? No. But you need someone who can score. Whether it's Christian Pulisic, whether it's Weston McKennie, whether it's Timothy Weah. They don't need to be wearing the number 9, but we need someone who can score. And whether that's Jesus Ferreira, whether that's Haji Wright, whether that's Brendan Aronson, whether that's and I'm trying to think of who else goes up there that they've been playing. Jordan Morris, right? Whether it's any of these guys. They don't need to be necessarily wearing the number 9. We just need someone on the field who's confident and can put the ball in the back of the net when they get a chance.
And who can consistently score goals.
Correct. And right now, everyone was talking, I know we talked about it on one of our podcasts, where Haji Wright might not have had to do much to get that number 9 position, right? Because no one had been doing much. No one had been doing almost anything. If he comes into those friendlies and puts on even just a little bit of a clinic, scores a couple goals, he's pretty much securing that spot. Now, other than his penalty kick goal against Morocco, I don't think he looked dangerous at all with the men. Ooh, excuse me.
Right, and we haven't
with
done
the
a
men's
whole
team.
lot. So that brings up the sort of the second half of the argument, right? So is it the fact that Jesus Ferreira isn't dangerous enough, or is it that the United States isn't getting their center striker involved enough? And I'm asking this question because we watched Timothy Weah, absolutely dominate Morocco and Uruguay's right flank, right? I mean, absolutely dominate, especially in this Uruguay game. He was dangerous. He generated chances. They could not keep up with him, and we always wanted to play him the ball. Like the men had confidence playing the ball up the line to Timothy Weah. But that being said, Timothy Weah generated a lot of chances when you play that tactic, when you have those guys going up the wings, right? When Pulisic is overloading the left, we know Weah is going to overload the right. That ball is coming into the center of the box, and Jesus Ferreira, very timid, very weak. He's in the last couple of games, he's been getting more chances. Even in this game, he had quality shots on net. He had quality chances where the goalie had to make a save, but he also had that header inside the 6 that you'd got to be thinking to yourself, we just need a guy who can score that goal.
Yeah, and when you watch it back, it is a little unfortunate, but it is also behind him a little bit, which he might have mistimed his run, or the ball doesn't get played, something like that. But yeah, it would have been nice, to see him score that goal.
Well,
But
that's what I'm
that
thinking
being,
from a striker stance. Like,
but okay, so from a striker standpoint, go to the 94th minute and look at Cavani and think,
fair, absolutely fair.
right? Like
Yes,
no
it's
one,
just a dumpster fire of a chance right
no
there.
one's really talking about how, well, he's their number 9. He's got to be scoring those. Maybe he doesn't deserve to be the number 9. So why does Jesus Ferreira get into the spotlight of, well, if he wants to be our number 9, he's got to score that, when arguably Cavani has a better chance and misses the net?
Well, Cavani also put up 2 goals in his last friendly against Mexico.
Okay.
But I hear what you're saying. And so we're seeing progress from Ferreira. We're seeing progress from chances, from ball movement. I mean, and Berhalter says that every game, right? I like his ball movement. I like his movement off the ball.
He's dangerous off the ball, which is nice.
But man, very early on in this game, these are like my thoughts on him. He's timid, right? We can't have a striker who's timid. He doesn't check to the ball. He doesn't know what to do when he goes to get to the ball. He has poor touches, and just overall, I don't know if it's his confidence level or if it's his skill level or whatever it is, he's just not a great player. And it doesn't mean he's not good, and it doesn't mean he doesn't deserve to be on the team, and it doesn't mean he's not a striker. He just has felt so out of place. And at the beginning of the qualifying campaign, a long time ago, lots of players looked out of place, and he was scoring goals. We have watched this team grow for a year and a half now through qualifying, and we've seen Timothy Weah go from being who he was to who he is now, right? We've watched Weston McKennie take a big step up. We've watched Tyler Adams take a big step up. Walker Zimmerman, goes from somebody you probably didn't hear of to why like, how did this MLS guy not play overseas, right? You've even asked me that. So while I have seen growth in Jesus Ferreira, and I know he's still young, it is something I want to see more of, but I agree with you in that it's not necessarily something we have to have. The men don't have to have this number 9 spot to get somewhere, but if we don't, we might have to change some of our tactics.
Yeah, and that's fine. So the Uruguay game ends in a 0-0 draw, and in all honesty, no one really played their A team the whole time, or even at all. The first half, the men had some guys on that aren't normally starters. Same with Uruguay. Second half, we subbed some starters out, put in some other guys. Uruguay subs out some guys, puts in a couple starters. Like Cavani only plays the last 25 minutes,
maybe, if that. I think it was a bit less.
And you got to expect him to play almost the whole game come World Cup.
Exactly. And so for like that overall breakdown stance, I like the team we presented, but we didn't have to play as much of a defensive game as I thought we were gonna, because Cavani was sitting on the bench.
Yeah. So here's,
I can't remember his name, but they subbed him on too, and he was also on the bench.
Yeah. So here's what I noticed. The first half, the U.S. pretty much dominated play. Uruguay had some chances, but mostly it was the U.S. The second half was mostly Uruguay, and I think the differences are: second half, the U.S. brought on some backups, and Uruguay put on some starters. Now, that doesn't mean that the U.S. played poorly. It just means that some of the guys like, what's his name? I know Aaron Long played most of the game, but he didn't look very strong in the back.
Right.
What was it? Eric Palmer Brown didn't look very strong.
Yeah, Palmer Brown came on for the second half. Paul Arriola came on for the second half. Brendan Aronson came on for the second half.
Now, as much as I'm not a fan of Paul Arriola, he has shown that he is a force to be reckoned with when he is out there. You would think he'd be pushed around easily with his size, but he's one of the tougher guys on the field, and he goes after the ball and he wins it, and he wins the ball in some pretty not 50-50 situations where you wouldn't expect him to be able to get the ball, and I'm starting to really like his hustle, and I don't know if he's just put out there because he plays with Jesus Ferreira, and that might be something that they can link together to maybe get something going for him.
That's what I think too. And so here's like my unpopular opinion, right? My unpopular opinion is that the United States needs to like stop holding hands with FC Dallas. And I think the only reason that Paul Arriola even made this squad is because the assistant coach for the men's national team is FC Dallas's former head coach, and the new head coach for FC Dallas is the former U.S. men's assistant. I like Paul Arriola's hustle. I like his tenacity.
There's only two of them, though.
But still, I have whatever. I have my other reasons. But so I like his tenacity, and I like that he goes after it. Here's what I don't like. I don't like that the United States found this sort of unfortunate spot from about the 60th minute, maybe through the 80th minute, where we tried to relieve pressure by playing the ball up to our strikers, and they're just wimps. They couldn't hold the ball. They couldn't body guys off. They couldn't possess the ball. They couldn't get it anywhere. And that's not solely on them. So I'm not putting all this blame on Paul Arriola, because we also saw our midfield struggling to figure out how to support those guys, right? The first half, we spent most of the first half watching our back four try to figure out what was going on. And so
but you got two guys that don't normally start back there.
And so it was healthy growing pains. And the way that I worded this was, when the best of our players were involved together in that game, Uruguay didn't stand a chance. But when the worst of our players were involved together, we didn't stand a chance. So when you watch Aaron Long play the ball to DeAndre Yedlin, to try to play the ball back to Walker Zimmerman, to play it back to DeAndre Yedlin, and have everybody just stand there and stare at each other, and everybody kind of do the point, like play it to him, and then like we're playing it back to Sean Johnson, but we didn't really hit it to him. We just kind of hit a hospital ball somewhere, and like we're turning it over. You would have been like, we shouldn't even make the World Cup. Like, this is going to be embarrassment. But when we turn the ball to our midfield, and you watch Tyler Adams play to Weston McKennie, play to Christian Pulisic, knock it back to Brendan Aronson, push the ball up to Timothy Weah, you're like, we can't be beat. We just couldn't be stopped. And we created so many threats, so many dangerous chances.
Like I said, there were moments of brilliance and there were moments of nervousness. And even when we had a lot of our starters on, there were moments where I was like, oh, Uruguay's kind of still taking us apart in places. But there were also a lot of moments where we took Uruguay apart. And I think the first half, the chances were 8-2 or something U.S. And then the second half was almost the exact opposite. Agreed. And I know that second half we had some more of our B guys on and they had more of their A guys on, which is positive to look at. If our B guys can hold Uruguay to no goals, that's strong. Now, granted, I don't like that we gave them that many quality opportunities, because any other team is probably going to finish those chances. Yeah, because you look
at half volley and like that easily. I mean, and granted, that was just a brilliant strike, right? When he hits that half volley from outside the box, like if he gets it, he gets it. But I also thought the other way, Uruguay gave us some pretty decent chances.
Yep, but there's one where Walker Zimmerman and Aaron Long get their marks confused, and there's two guys wide open inside the 6, and the ball gets played right to them. Sean Johnson has to make an unbelievable save.
Yep. And it happened a couple times. Unfortunately,
which is more just
bad passes.
Which is more just being in the right place for that save for Sean Johnson. He's just tracking the ball.
The cross that comes in,
where he saves it with his shin.
Yep, and
he's kind of just in the right place, but it's an unbelievable save. It keeps the game 0-0, and I don't know. It was
well. So put it like this: put it through the World Cup lens, right?
Partial optimism I have.
Agreed. Completely agreed.
From going to think the U.S. is most likely going to finish second in the group, I'm now pretty confident we'll get out of group stage, we'll finish at least second, and I'm starting to think we have a chance of winning the group.
So do I. And so the thing that like you just said, I don't remember the words you said, but they're brilliant, so I'm just going to like take your words. We have so many other people, I even shared one with you, who, when they watch teams lose to us, they make videos that are like, oh, Mexico should be so disappointed, or Canada should be so disappointed, or Morocco should be so disappointed. Oh, but nothing against the U.S. men. Oh, but nothing against U.S. men. And it's time to like end that. It's time to shut that all up. Because one of the things I was worried about in this game, and my score prediction was 2-1, right? Now, granted, I predicted they were going to play Cavani and Rossi the whole game. They didn't. And when Rossi and Cavani came on, they were dangerous. They created chances, but you also saw Greg Berhalter know that was coming and make Anthony Robinson's substitution at that exact moment. So it was almost like he knew, I don't want to test you and waste your energy against what we're not going to face. And so like just taking sort of a moment off from where I was going, I really like that about that sub from Greg Berhalter. He watched who Uruguay brought on and said, okay, it's time to test my back four. Let's get this guy on so you can play against high-level strikers.
You also have to remember Anthony Robinson is coming off being sick.
Yep.
It was non-COVID
that certainly
related.
was a huge factor, but it was nice to see him come in.
Yeah, it was nice to see him come in, but I could see him not even playing there, right? Because it's not worth it. Like, you're not going to get the best out of him. It's not going to be an accurate representation.
Fair. Yeah, he could have used his substitution somewhere else. I mean, Uruguay took 7, so...
Yeah, and I don't understand why they even limit you in friendlies. It's just, I get it because you have to stop so they can't just run the clock out.
Right. Well, it was one of those things that I just, as a side note, I wish like Stewart or was it Stewart? Yeah, it was Stewart and John, right?
It was, yep.
I wish they had just said like they're not upset about another sub, they're just upset about the rules. Right? Like personally,
yeah.
I don't think Greg cared at all, right? It's a friendly. But the problem is like if FIFA has rules and we're allowing this one rule to be broken, why are we upholding any of the other rules? Like, if we're going to use 7 subs, should we wipe all the yellow cards? Should we not worry about, like, you know what I mean? And so I'm hoping the conversation was more that kind of a conversation and not that's not even fair. I want to have more subs.
When you go to that argument, is an extra sub in a friendly really as bad as yellow cards? No, it's not even close.
No,
it's not. It's just an extra sub.
Right.
It's easily solved by saying the U.S. gets 7.
Yep.
Right.
It was a communication error because Uruguay's coach even said he interpreted you have unlimited windows. It just got translated as you have unlimited subs, and so he just took advantage of it. But anyway, where I was eventually going with this. So when I saw that scoreline, I'm predicting 2-1 for the United States. I really wanted Haji Wright to get one. I was expecting us to at least figure out a goal. Right, between Christian Pulisic and Haji Wright and Timothy Way and Brendan Aronson and West, like I figured we'd get one. The 0-0 draw, although no goals from either side, which was disappointing. I would have liked to see something in the game, gave me this newfound optimism as I looked at what's happening in the Euros or the UEFA Nations League, and I look up at my predictions chart and I think to myself, this was a good team.
Yeah.
That had to qualify against Brazil and Argentina, Brazil being one of the all favorites. There is really nothing stopping us from winning that group. What is so different about Uruguay's squad that squads like England and France and the Netherlands don't have, right? Maybe they're a little bit deeper on their bench. Maybe they have 1 or 2 more premier level players on the field at a time. It's not so much different that it's not 80-1 different. You know what I mean? Like 80-1 to win the World Cup. That felt more like a 40-1, right? Or 25-1. It didn't feel like it was that much of a stretch, given that it wasn't like we played to a 0-0 draw, and it was like our Belgium game where, Tim Howard made 52 saves.
18.
It was right. It was a 0-0 game where both teams had a chance to win that game, and neither team really made like mistakes, right? Our back four is trying to figure out who they are. We play different guys, so we give away chances. Like you said, you're not going to be perfect, and Uruguay's a great squad, so they're going to be goal-scoring opportunities. I thought Sean Johnson played fine. I'm excited that we have the depth in goalies. I'm glad to see him play. I like that Greg Berhalter is thinking forward to it's probably going to be Matt Turner, and then we're going to need a backup for him because who knows what's going on with Zach Steffen, right? Who knows if he plays or if he doesn't play. I disagreed with, I think it was Stewart, who said you just want a goalie who's playing. I don't necessarily know how I feel about that, so I'm going to look to you for this one. My personal opinion,
helps.
My personal opinion would be I would like try to find an even balance, right? If you're the backup for Manchester City but you haven't played a single game, or you're the backup for Liverpool but you're playing like 25% of the games, I'm probably going with Liverpool's backup. But what are your thoughts? Like, having been a goalie, did you enjoy more getting playing time, or do you enjoy more, having quality players attack you?
I mean, when the game is at you, you tend to the more involved you are. I mean, yes, it'll tire you out in a game, but it helps. The more touches you can get on the ball, the more quality saves you can make, boost confidence, boosts morale. Team sees that you're playing well, knows that if they make slight mistakes here or there, that you can bail them out, and that can lead to little bits of different play style here or there. Like Walker Zimmerman may cheat up on something, knowing that if he doesn't win this cleanly or gets beat a little bit,
Yeah,
Matt
you can
Turner,
play a little bit more bold because you got that trust
yeah,
in your goalkeeper.
yeah. So that's always helpful. Do I agree that he should just play the goalie that's playing the most? No, because that could be like an 18-year-old who
He's playing in the
has no
USL.
experience. Yeah,
Yeah.
who has like no experience in anything. So it is about finding that fine line. But that being said, Sean Johnson has not conceded a goal when he's played for the U.S. men's team.
Hmm. And he's playing for the MLS Cup winners. So it's not like he's not playing against, like, at least having consistent good strikers, right?
Yeah,
Even though the strikers might have come from a Premier League and are now playing here, they're still great strikers. But
yeah. So it'll be interesting. On the striker side of things, because you had mentioned Haji Wright, I was not impressed with his performance in the game with Uruguay, and I know he came in the second half, and I know for the U.S. we struggled in the second half more than the first half, but for all of this, he's going to be our next number 9. He's been scoring goals in the Turkish league. He's been playing very well. And after what we saw with him in the Morocco game, I was expecting him to at least be involved and be able to create something. And it just seemed that every time he got the ball or got near the ball, the play just kind of fell flat and we turned the ball over.
that's true. And it was unfortunate that he came in that stretch I was talking about for
Yeah.
like 60 to 80 something minutes where
Yeah,
we
because
really,
like Wes McKinney's not on the field.
well, and
Timothy
how
Way
long
is
did
not
you go
on.
before you heard Christian Pulisic's name? Right?
Yeah.
Before, and
And I
so
get that.
so we had this really awkward moment, and that was what was discouraging for me was if we want to see who our number 9 spots are going to be, we can't take like a Jesus Ferreira and surround him by greatness and then go, look at how great he moves off the ball and look at how great he moves here. Like, of course he does. He's surrounded by players who will get him the ball. And then put Haji right in when the U.S. is breaking down, when we have Paul Arriola, who doesn't stretch like Timothy Weah, when we're trying to mix the midfield around, and when we're trying to go through players like Brendan Aronson out on the left, like, it was just a weird moment for you. But I agree with you. It was, frustrating only having 5 touches in the whole game. He winds up not really doing anything, and it's just not what you need to see because now you didn't learn anything, right? You gave him 45
Correct.
minutes to prove a point, and he got nowhere. But
Yeah.
so going into our midfield now, right? But as we're kind of getting in there, Yunus Musa, okay? Yunus Musa, Adams, McKinney, first half. What do you think of this trio?
I mean, they've shown that they play well together. They've shown that they can control the midfield. When the 3 of them are out there, the U.S. seems to dominate the play in the middle of the field. Weston McKinney is strong. He really gets those guys working together, knowing what they're supposed to be doing.
Are those the 3
And
you would have picked? Are those the 3? Like, you got to pick 3 guys right now. They're going to play in the World Cup. The World Cup starts tomorrow. What 3 guys are you playing in our midfield?
The only one I wouldn't take is Yunus Musa, and I would take healthy Gio Reyna. Based
I have
on the
no
way our
complaints
team,
with that. No complaints.
based on the way our team plays, Delatorre wouldn't be a bad pick, but we already have McKinney as a attacking midfielder. Putting Delatorre in, who's got the same attitude, I think would weaken the midfield a little bit more. Yunus Musa has more of a defensive mentality. He's fast, tends to dribble a little too much, but
And that's my qualm with him. I'm tired of
he's
yelling
19.
I'm just tired of yelling at my television, pass the ball.
Yep.
Right? And,
And
it was the same thing with Giovanni Reyna. We talked about this, you and I were watching the game. We talked about during the game. I don't care if you dribble the entire other team. If your last touch gives the ball to the other team, that whole play is worthless. It's completely dead. So it doesn't matter that Giovanni Reyna dribbled who he dribbled, and it doesn't matter how many times Yunus Musa does it. When he took that ball as our last defender, and Sean Johnson played him that ball, and he dribbled that man instead of laying the ball off, I was like, just pull this guy. Like,
Yeah.
you can't be doing that.
And it's stuff like that that is what you don't want to see. Like, he's the last guy back. He tries to dribble a guy. Now, granted, in this game it worked. He does get around him. But, well, I think he gets fouled. But it doesn't matter.
He ends up getting fouled later on, yeah.
Because if you don't get fouled and you lose the ball cleanly, the guy's on a breakaway. That being said, going to Gio Reyna's thing, once you start trying to dribble guys, once you beat the first guy, you're most likely in a position where you're just going to have to keep beating guys. You're not going to be able to lay the ball off. Right. So Gio Reyna runs into the problem of he goes through the midfield, Mexico closes him down, he beats a guy, but he's closed down by another guy, so he's got to beat that guy, so he's closed down by another guy, so he's got to beat that guy, and then the guys he's already beaten have gotten back, and now when he beats someone, he's surrounded, and he's got nowhere to go with the ball,
right.
where
He's
if he
just
just
dribbling in panic mode.
Where if he just lays the ball off and does a 1-2, you don't run into that problem. But
yeah,
that's also our guys showing, our guys checking to the ball, our guys moving, our guys where they are supposed to be. Are they helping you out when you have the ball? And with Gio Reyna's case, I don't think they were. I think it was a lot of guys weren't in position and it was kind of a counterattack and he was by himself.
Yeah.
So he just tried to do it. Where with Yunus Musa gets the ball from our defenders. He gets the ball played to him. You cannot tell me you're on a breakout when our defenders calmly play you the ball into the midfield. And then he turns and he tries to take 8, 9, 10 touches, and then he plays a ball that's lackluster or he loses the ball. And now we're on the back foot trying to recover because everyone's expecting you to play the ball to the guy that's making a run down the wing. Like Anthony Robinson takes off down the left wing expecting a ball. You don't play it, you lose the ball. Now we're down a defender.
Right. And I love the word that you just used, right? Lackluster. Because it doesn't mean that some of his balls are bad balls, right? But that's how I feel when I watch him. It's like, he was good. He wasn't bad. He just leaves me wanting more. And when you sub guys like De La Torre on who make these brilliant chances, and Aronson comes on and Giovanni Reyna comes on, and they're dangerous from the get-go, and they're getting rid of the ball, and they're playing this European style of like, you give it to me, I get rid of it, I make a move, I get the ball back, I create a chance, we go, like, and they just possess. It leaves you having these moments where the United States has their foot on the gas, and then Musa gets the ball, and not all the time, because sometimes when Musa gets the ball, he's got his foot on the gas. But sometimes he gets the ball, and then all of a sudden, we're kind of like in quicksand.
Yep.
And it's like we're underwater, and it's like now the other team's caught us, and now we're back, and now we're going to have to go back on defense, and what are you doing?
And that being said, you brought up De La Torre. I was not pleased with his performance in the game against Uruguay. No. We've been talking him up. He's been playing very well. He comes into the game in Uruguay. His first 3 possessions where he gets the ball, he turns it over. He takes 2 bad fouls. Mm-hmm. He fouls a guy going the opposite way. Like, the U.S. is scrambling to get back, and I understand that there's times when you should take fouls.
You've done your job. You've turned that guy around so your defense can get there, and they just hacks him down.
Yep, and you're like, what are you doing? Mm-hmm. And I was
if you
a
play
little
the whole
upset with
game,
that.
right? If you play the whole game and you're in the 70th minute and you're just tired, I'll give it to you, whatever, man. But like, he had been subbed on, he was on that field for like 10 minutes.
So I saw an article, and I do want to bring this up because I want to get your opinion on it. So Anthony Robinson plays left back. Mm-hmm. Do you believe that Anthony Robinson should start over Serginho Dest?
No, not a chance.
Okay, because the article I read says that Serginho Dest is Anthony Robinson's backup and will play only if Anthony Robinson is hurt or gets subbed out.
So that makes no sense. Who are you going to play on the other defender?
DeAndre Yedlin is the one that's been playing there.
I would rather play Joe Scally. I know you weren't that impressed with him, but like,
but again, he's young.
Joe Scally.
Right? He's 19. He hasn't played in these types of games before, really. And I understand he's playing with guys he doesn't normally play defense with. You're not used to Walker Zimmerman barking the orders and trying to command the defense. You make mistakes. You can see it. There's a couple plays in the Uruguay game where he's standing in the middle of nowhere in the box. Not a Uruguay guy around him, and he's just hanging out. You got to find somebody. I get you're in the box, and I get you're just doing your best to keep the ball away from your goal. but there is no one near you on the other team. You are doing nothing just standing there.
Right. Right.
So,
So
but again, the positives, we held them to no goals.
we
The
did.
negatives, they weren't playing their A squad the whole game, and we also didn't score. Right? So you have that mentality of it's great. The U.S. tied Uruguay. That's unbelievable. Like, holy crap, this is awesome. Like I'm sitting here thinking to myself, a win or a loss by one or a draw is an exceptional result for the U.S.
Mm-hmm.
Especially going into the World Cup. And we get that draw. Both teams have chances. The U.S. shows that we can create chances against a world-class team. And you're never going to go up against a world-class team and they're not going to get a chance against you.
Mm-hmm.
We're not going to play a team like Brazil, Germany, England, Wales, Iran, and make it so they don't have a single scoring opportunity the whole game. They're going to get scoring opportunities. It's how we deal with them.
Correct.
And honestly, in the Uruguay game, other than Cavani's base and the cross, I don't think any of Uruguay's chances were dealt with poorly by the U.S. I think we did everything right. I think Uruguay's strikers hit some pretty nice shots that, as a defender, if that goes in, you look at yourself and go, other than fouling him and taking a yellow card possibly, there's not really much I could do there.
Correct.
So
that was the note that I had at halftime. So what I liked was that Uruguay didn't generate a whole lot of offense outside of our mistakes. Right?
Yeah.
And I know that seems like a stupid statement, right? Like a no duh. But I'm not talking about mistakes as in like the obvious ebb and flow of sports, right? Taking advantage of, and who does. I'm talking like our true breakdowns. When I made those comments about our defenders trying to build out of the back. When we just continue to take touches and then take touches and then take touches and then take touches, that's when Uruguay was generating chances. They did have their handful of chances they generated of their own accord, right? Or, that first 16, 20 minutes of the game. And those were fine. We were able to deal with them in an appropriate manner, right? As we get into the, as we go into the second half, obviously the game changes a little bit, but we also see subs coming on, right? And so we talked a lot about the game and all about the second half. I just want to look at logistics of the players you were thinking of and the players you wanted to see. So at halftime, we're going to bring in Aronson, we're going to bring in Eric Palmer-Brown, and we're going to bring in Paul Arriola. Okay? And I'll share my thoughts, and we'll see if how that lines up with you. I loved Aronson coming on as a sub, right? Eric Palmer-Brown I thought was fine because we're still trying to figure out backups to injured defenders. I thought that was great.
Yep.
And Paul Arriola, this is separate from his skill level, right? This is before I've watched the second half. This is me just writing a note down as he comes on. To me, this is a huge mistake. And it's a huge mistake because we have so much depth on our roster that do you really think this guy is the future of U.S. soccer? Is this a guy that you're really going to put on the field during the World Cup, right? Because if this is a guy, and this is my thought, if this is a guy that you think if Greg Berhalter is thinking I might be looking to this guy, I think we got a huge problem because we have way more depth than a Paul Arriola. If Greg Berhalter knows that's not what I'm going to be doing, then let's put him in the boat with Christian Roldan and get him out of here. Because we don't need to be wasting these valuable opportunities and chances for our strikers to develop themselves playing players like Paul Arriola if they're not going to make it. Obviously, that compounds with my belief that Paul Arriola shouldn't be going, but those are my 2 cents.
So here's my thought process, and it's something that I've noticed in a couple of games where guys in the midfield have switched spots and attackers have changed sides, and I wonder if Berhalter knew something about the left side of Uruguay, something that Paul Arriola could take advantage of, right? Something that Arriola's skill set has that the other midfield subs don't. And you run into this, we've seen it before where Timothy Weah has swapped sides with Christian Pulisic because the right backs are weaker than the left backs.
Right, just tactics and play style, yeah.
And Timothy Weah can attack it better. And you don't know going on at the ground level, and you don't know, it could have all just been trying to get Jesus Ferreira's confidence up, right? Try to get him a goal. He's looked dangerous. He's had a couple chances. If we put a guy on who plays in the ball a lot, that he plays with, maybe he gets a goal, we break open the dam, and he gets that confidence to start scoring for us. right? Maybe
Maybe.
that's why he comes on. Um, and do I not like it? Yeah, he makes some decisions that I'm not a big fan of, but and as in the past, Berhalter has showed that when he makes subs, they normally have an impact.
Hmm. Time and
And
time
I
again.
thought and I thought Paul Arriola had a very positive impact and was one of the few players in the second half who, when he got the ball, I was not worried about a turnover. I was not worried about an immediate threat from Uruguay.
Fair.
There were a couple of guys out there. Obviously, Christian Pulisic. I'm never really worried about him turning the ball over because, I mean, he does occasionally, but when you get triple, double teamed,
You know
it's
what I'm worried about with Pasilic? Let's get this guy to stop taking our set pieces.
yeah. And let's get rid of the frosted tips.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, if you haven't checked that out, go check out Christian Pulisic's new hairstyle. The U.S. men's team is trying to post that it's all the rage. It's disappointing. It's disappointing. Just like his set pieces. Honestly, really just I don't understand how a player with such talent and such skill cannot hit a corner kick to save his life. And it's not just through this game, ladies and gentlemen. If you've been watching, this is through like every game. This is like every game that we have watched this entire time, all of qualifying. I don't know. I
It's gonna
don't.
sound weird. Twillman, not was it
Twelman. Oh, Malik
Malik
Tillman. Malik Tillman.
Tillman looked great on the set pieces he delivered. The couple he got to take in the Morago game, and we'll get real spicy here. Kellen Acosta.
Yeah, but I mean, Kellen Acosta is probably not a guy you're bringing out for the World Cup, right?
Why not?
I just think we got too much depth. I think seeing Aronson and Delatorre.
Do you not play a Musa or not a Musa? You don't play an Adams and McKinney and Acosta
I would
for the
play.
first half?
All right, if my choices were to play Kellen Acosta or Yunus Musa, I would be torn. But if my choices were to play Brendan Aronson or Giovanni Reina or Luca Delatorre, my choices would not be torn. I would play one of those three guys.
So the problem with one of those three guys is Weston McKinney is already that role.
That's fair, and that is what's tough
So
because we already have the two attacking wingers, right?
Unless we change our formation to like a 3-3 or like a 4-3-3, or which we are now, to like a 5-4-1, and you put two attacking midfielders in and you just leave Christian up front or Timothy Weah up front.
Honestly, that's why I liked Buzio in there because he liked to knock the ball around. And that's why I would probably pick Reina, because while Reina can attack, Reina also likes to knock the ball around. But Brendan Aronson got stuck in. I know that he wasn't there with McKinney, but man, did he get stuck in. And he was just a monster for that whole game.
So I am excited for this game tomorrow because I believe.
Hold on. Final thought about the Uruguay game, though, before we go into this. Final thought.
Final thought about the Uruguay game.
My final thought is, for as disappointing as Cavani's goal was, let's remember this was a friendly, and the United States would not have stretched as far as they did to get that goal, leaving literally two guys on a 2-on-0, if it was the World Cup. There's
unless you're already down by a goal.
Unless we're already down by a goal. At 0-0, I mean, literally, if it's 0-0 against England, you know Greg Berhalter's not going to be like, guys, come on, 93rd minute, let's get one. He's going to be like, dude, just slam it up the field. I mean, he might be. He's done
So here's
stuff,
the thing. So here's the thing. England is our second game, meaning a loss to Wales means getting a win in England is what could save that.
Okay, but we watched all those games. There's no shot that
you don't know.
There's no shot.
I'm still not even confident that Iran is going to be easy.
I don't think Iran's going to be easy by any means, but I also think and I know I'm biased, right? I'm biased because I'm wearing this. I don't think people are giving the United States enough credit. I think they're looking at our team. They're looking at teams that we've had from before. They're seeing that we finished third on the table. They're looking at very specific match results in Canada and blah, 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 and going, this is still the USA of old. It doesn't matter that they have all this talent. They've had all this talent before and they can't do it. And they don't want to look deeper and go, no, we've never had all this talent. And a team like Iran is going to have some serious players because, and I didn't know this. I watched some other videos. Morocco didn't play a bunch of bums when they played us. Morocco played basically their top team, and
they played an A- like we did.
They didn't have a chance. And one of the things that the guy pointed out, which I did like, was if you're Morocco, you should be scared because there's another CONCACAF team in your group, and that CONCACAF team beat the team that just swamped you.
Yes.
And so does that, that might change the teams that we think it out. I personally, as much as I
We're
want people
also
to see who
two
Canada
different
is,
styles.
I also would be stoked if Canada made it out.
Two
I think
different
it would be
styles
good.
of gameplay. Canada's much more of a counterattack team than the
Mhm.
U.S. is. Morocco may handle that better. You don't know.
Right.
But
And so
look,
anyway, so let's talk about the game tomorrow. Let's talk about Grenada.
I'm excited. It's not and not to be like, well, Grenada's terrible. They're a weaker team when it comes to
You mean
who the U.S. has.
they haven't won a Nations League game since 1980 something?
Yeah, so um, it'll be a different change of pace for the U.S. based on who they have recently played. So you're coming off playing Panama, Costa Rica in World Cup qualifying, and then Morocco and Uruguay. But positive side of it is, I believe Jesus Ferreira is going to start. I don't see why he wouldn't. This close to the World Cup and with this few games left, you want to get someone. And I
I want to
think
see
this
him
could
start.
be
I want to see Haji Wright start. I want to see Brendan
but
Aronson start. I want to see Malik
this could
Tillman
be
start.
this could be the big game that lets Jesus Ferreira open the floodgates.
Right? Is this the game that gives us some confidence? And I know we were
Like, does
just
he
talking
score
about
2 goals and then
right.
all of a sudden he gets to the World Cup and he's like, I know how to score. And in that first game against Wales, he scores early and that confidence is just there. And I would love to see that. I would love to see Jesus Ferreira contend for the Golden Boot
Oh,
at
I
the
mean, I
World
would love to
Cup.
see any American player do it.
I think, but I mean, seeing Christian do it would be fine, but it's something I could see him doing. Right now, I don't like for Jesus Ferreira. I think that would be huge if he could go into the World Cup knowing and being confident in scoring and get a goal early in the World Cup.
Mm-hmm.
I think that would help him immensely, and you could see him
Correct.
Score 3-4 goals in group stage kind of thing.
Yep. And for two reasons. So the two reasons are if you're believing that these games are mistimed or inconvenient. Ryan and I were just talking about this article before we started recording this. Sure, you're going to go from playing 2 World Cup qualifying teams to this, right? But one, for confidence, and I understand you want to get confidence against better teams. You're crazy if you don't think there's another international window before the World Cup. We're going to be playing games in September. It was already leaked on Qatar's Wikipedia soccer page that they have a game scheduled against the United States in September. Who knows if that's going to be true or not? It's not unrealistic to think that other teams in the World Cup aren't trying to schedule friendlies with teams of similar caliber. Qatar's already played us. We beat them 1-0. The game was pretty close. I could see Qatar want to do that again. So I agree with you, Ryan. I would love to see Jesus Ferreira get some goals, get his confidence up, carry that confidence into that final international window, solidify his spot as our striker, and carry that confidence into group stages.
Yeah, and he might have a mentality. Some people are like this. I know I was when I swam in college, where when it's a bigger event, you go for it more. I always swam my best times at championships. And people are going to be like, well, that's because you've been training the longest, so obviously you're going to be the fastest. And they're probably right, but there was that mentality of this was it. This was my chance to prove what I could do. And Jesus Ferreira might have that mentality of this is the World Cup. This is where I prove who I am. This is where I show everybody why I wear the number 9.
Correct.
And if he goes in with confidence of having scored a couple goals before that, who knows? He could pop off and he could score a couple really nice goals for us.
He could. Sorry, I'm checking out. I'm checking out. I have to check it out later. 11 Yanks posted a video breaking down our under 20 roster for the CONCACAF Championship. As I was like trying to read the title, I saw CONCACAF and I was like, "What? We're gonna play some of these younger guys in this?" But it's a separate tournament. Yeah, but I completely agree, and I think you're absolutely right. There is something about very specific types of events and games that elevate this, and so just like kind of us speculating about these friendlies and about these upcoming games, no one really knows what's coming in the World Cup, and all we can do is be prepared. Things to keep in mind: all of the Premier Leagues are going to have started by then. Who knows who gets hurt? Who knows who's in good form? There's lots of rumors that Christian Pulisic is leaving, that Romelu Lukaku is leaving from Chelsea. Those are big changes for Chelsea. There's a chance that we see, like we already know Aaronson's going to Leeds. Who knows what happens with Leeds, right? Does Aaronson get all of the playing time? Weston McKennie,
might be going to Tottenham.
To Tottenham. Tottenham already has 3 really great midfielders, but what happens if he gets one of those top spots? Tottenham's a top 4, top 5 team in the EPL. That's a pretty big team. Tottenham always starts their seasons really well. I'm a Tottenham fan. They always seem to fall off in the middle of the season. You know, he's playing alongside Heung-min Son. Depending on if Kane stays, it's not looking like he's going to stay. And if I'm wrong, he might already have transferred out. I don't know. But like, there's a lot is going to happen. Turner's going to get experience under Liverpool. MLS guys could move. You know, I could see Walker Zimmerman still moving in a window because the trades are coming. Another window is coming. So a lot of things are going to happen. And I'm excited for those things. But like we said, take all the speculation with a grain of salt. Obviously, Ryan and I, there are things we want to see, but it's unrealistic to get kind of caught up in all this media hype and believing, you know, one way or the other when there's a long time. There's a long time before November 17th.
21st, the first U.S. game.
Yeah. And then we play on Black Friday. 2 o'clock. All 3 games are at 2 o'clock Eastern
1 o'clock.
time. Oh, I was told it was all 2 o'clock Eastern time.
I believe they are all 1 p.m. 1 p.m. EST. That might be when pregame starts.
Yeah, because I forget that American coverage always gives you the wrong time because they just want you to tune in.
Yeah, so they are 2 p.m. So the coverage must start at 1
because
when you
start at 1. So that'll be exciting. And
interestingly, we are only home once in our group stage because we are the 3rd team in there.
Gotcha.
So our only home game is against Wales. We are considered the away team against England and Iran. Not that that matters. The games are in Qatar.
Right.
Kind of irrelevant.
But well, we appreciate you guys tuning in again. We're going to be bringing you guys some more videos, like we said, so back-to-back stuff as U.S. is going to take on Grenada and El Salvador, and we're going to have some recaps for those games. We're looking forward to seeing some goals. We're looking forward to talking some more exciting stuff. That's going to do it for us here. We will catch you guys next time.